one of the questions asked was how did your academic and work schedule balance change between high school and college? How did it change basically?
So I think a typical high school routine that you're all familiar with is sort of going to school very early in the morning and then going through your school day, and then your school day ends and you stay at your high school and you do extracurricular activities for a couple hours, and eventually you get to go home and do your homework. And I think that is very common in high school, and it completely changes in college, because in college, every day is a little bit more different than it was in high school. And extracurriculars are not just like after school meetings that you go to. And for me, I think in college, one other thing is that extracurriculars are more of a social thing, because a lot of colleges are bigger than high schools. And so in high school, when you start joining like National Honor Society or whatever, you're already friends with a lot of the people and you're not really making new friends. But in college, a lot of the friends that you make are actually through clubs that you're in. And I've made I've made basically all of my friends through shared interests in clubs that I'm in. And I think a lot of people do that too. So I would really use extracurriculars in college when you first get there as a social space, and not necessarily a professional space. But for me now, I'm involved in a lot less extracurriculars than I was in high school numbers wise. I'm the editor-in-chief of an environmental review, which is sort of like a magazine that's more academic. And I am in an environmental fraternity that I started. And outside of that, an orchestra, I'm not really in anything. And that's pretty common in college, where you're not in as big of a number of extracurriculars as you were in high school, because your interests naturally start narrowing. And the final thing is I definitely work a lot in terms of having internships, which is something that you don't really have in high school. So right now, Tuesday through Thursday, I have classes, and then Monday and Friday, I work at a company that sort of helps nonprofits with their electricity contracts. Really interesting, I know. But yeah, so I would say life changes a lot, and day to day, it also changes a lot in college compared to high school, and even semester to semester, it changes a lot, because people tend to change their internships as the semesters go by, which is something that doesn't really happen in high school.
Yeah, I have to absolutely echo what he just said about a lot of the things in high school are different from college, especially in terms of when classes, you're no longer operating on the 8 to 3 or 7 to 3 or 7 to 4 schedule that you are in high school. It's no longer fixed like that. You choose your classes. And so that tends to structure your day a lot, in my opinion. In terms of clubs, I also agree that you're doing less extracurriculars. Right now, I'm in basically only 3 clubs at UCLA, or organizations. For one, I'm also an editor-in-chief of a publication, but that's designed for health literacy. Not as cool as Andrew's, I would say. Another, I'm in a neuroscience outreach club. And then thirdly, I'm in the UCLA chess club, which is kind of just for fun. So I would say that there's less clubs overall, or extracurriculars, but you tend to spend more time in them. Everybody's experience varies, but I think that's a general trend. In college, honestly, you have a lot more freedom. And, as the great quote goes, with great responsibility, or whatever. If in this case, with great freedom comes great responsibility, because you're no longer operating on such a fixed schedule as you are in high school. Yeah, Ben's laughing. I can see I butchered the quote terribly. But since you're not operating on such a fixed schedule, you have more freedom to choose what you do with your time. So I would say that's one of the major shifts that you have to work with in the change in work-life balance from.
Yeah, I'll also completely agree with the point about extracurriculars. So I was involved in a lot of different things in high school, but now in college, I'm also involved in just 3 things pretty much. I run the chess club here at Notre Dame. I'm VP of social entrepreneurship for this business club, and I also lead projects through another business club here. So definitely a lot fewer extracurriculars and more focused on what I'm interested in doing. So since I'm on the consulting path, 2 of my 3 clubs are consulting oriented. In terms of workload, yeah, things will definitely change a lot. You won't be on the traditional like 8 to 3 schedule, like Drew was pointing out. I can't even imagine getting up at 8 a.m. anymore. I like go to sleep at like 5 a.m. Every day. Yeah, that might be why I look a little bit dead right now. But yeah, your sleep schedule will definitely change, no matter how much you try to resist it. And it's definitely important to make good use of the free time you have. So you're going to have a lot less class per week, but you're going to have a lot more work to do outside of those classes. So making sure that you're utilizing that time effectively. You're not taking that extra time to just nap, but you're doing all the work that you need to do. Uh, Another thing is in college, I've noticed that there's a lot more stuff that's, I guess, optional. So homework, like readings that you don't absolutely have to do. But it's good to stay on top of all of that optional stuff as well, because you're going to pay for it when finals come if you don't.
Yeah, I would say probably try not to go to bed at 5 a.m. Just as a tip for us to give. Yeah. Yes, also agree. I definitely am involved in far fewer things in college than I was in high school. I think I probably listed like 4, 5, or 6 things on my college applications when I applied. And right now I'm in my college a cappella group, and I work at the writing center as like a writing consultant, and I teach ESL classes to recent immigrants in New York. So it's like you figure out kind of what you like and what you care about, and you get to do things that take up way more time and are like more special because of that. And yes, I would just echo what everyone else said about like planning your time, and you have so much more homework in college that it's a lot more about like, oh, I have like 3 to 6 free before my next class. I'm gonna like get a jump start on the readings, so I don't fall behind.